bars in the ring. Man, I go hard like Santan.
Welcome again to another episode of Touchline Hotspur. Got a star-studded cast here. Dave, how you feeling, man?
Feeling good. I'm honoured to share the stage with Tobbs because like for us to get him for an hour these days is a little bit early.
I'm nobody, man. I'm nobody.
I'm just gonna make myself low and just it's all good, man. Lovely to be here. It's a Thursday night and Tottenham haven't disappointed us, so it's all good.
That's one of the positives of getting kicked out of the Europa League, man. Toby, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. It's good to it's because I can't remember the last time I've been on a pod where you've hosted Era, man. It's been a long time, man. But I'm happy, man. Let's go, man.
Good to see you. Glad you could fit us in the schedule and that. Tops, how you feeling, my guy?
Yeah, good, brother. A lot more positive after last week's pod, but yeah, I'm happy to be back, man. Happy to have our local celeb back on the pod as well. Yeah, welcome back, Toby. Yeah,
I'm not a celeb at all, lad, man.
I thought she was killing me on the last pod, bro. Your face straight away, you could see it. The energy was mad, bro. It's good to see the smiles back, man.
That tweet that Ohio put out, the first 8 minutes, I was
it looked crazy.
Don't think I don't see you as well. Yeah, I see that mood lighting that you've got probably at the back of your TV. I see it flashing up there. One time it's purple, then it's blue. I got the same thing in my room as well, so I know what type of mood you're trying to set in that room. So cool. But I see you. I see you, bro.
I love it. And Yao, hidden in the dark there. What you saying, my brother? You good?
Hey, bro, coming in with 2 weeks off the bounce, bro. I feel like Lamella returning from injury, bro.
We're gonna need some better performances than that, man.
Hopefully, I can give some energy to the squad, bro. Shocking.
Man. Let's start with something good for once, man. Aston Villa, 2-0 win. Beautiful, love it. Like I wouldn't really be celebrating a Villa win, but beggars can't be choosers at the moment. Like let's not lie. Who wants to kick us off with the Villa match?
I don't mind.
Yeah.
I actually don't mind. Watch the full 90. Was to be honest with you, I feel like it's gonna go into a rant. To be honest with you, but like the team came out. And I was like, oh, wow. That's a bit of a interesting defense. I didn't know if I should be mad. I didn't know what I was supposed to feel when I saw the team sheet, especially with the defense. And I was like, okay, Roden, Davinson Sanchez, Tanganga at right back here. I honestly think like it will come as a masterstroke later on in his career. I know he thinks he's a centre back and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that the kid's not got some sort of talent or ability, but I think right back might be the master stroke for him. But the game as a whole, and the reason why there might be a rant from me is because I watched the first half and I was like, wow, we look kind of comfortable with this kind of unique new lineup with players playing in a different kind of role. Looked like a 4-4-2 diamond at one point.
That's what I was going to ask. What do you think the formation was? 4-4-2 diamond-ish?
I wasn't sure. It looked like a 4-4-2 diamond, a lopsided 4-3-3. It was a really weird one. And
it was a parallelogram, bruv.
Yeah, it was. It was a bit of a weird one. But the reason why I got angry at halftime is because the Sky coverage, and I really hope people from Sky see this because this is ridiculous. They go to the halftime, piece of punditry, and first thing I hear is, Tottenham are lucky to not be losing this game. I'm like, okay. Aston Villa seem to have been dominating this game. I said, dominating with what? 0 shots and boring me half to death. Like, stop that. Because if it's the other way around, they would happily highlight everything wrong with Spurs in that first half. Yeah, but that 15 minutes, you would have 100%. If you didn't know the result of the first half, you'd have 1,000,000% for Spurs were losing, just on how they were talking at halftime, and that infuriated me. And even though the second half improved for Spurs even a bit more, and they took a hold of the game a bit better, and ended up getting the second goal and all of that jazz, and seeing out the game, which, to be honest with you, was a pleasing performance considering what happened the last 2 performances. Like, I was really infuriated by the way, and this is not the first time this has happened watching Spurs throughout my lifetime. It's a farce. It's an absolute joke, considering the fact we won 2-0.
I do hear that. I'm not going to lie. I do hear that. I do think the media, it's weird. Sometimes the media overgas us. I've seen it with journals and whatnot. Sometimes the media overgas us, and then sometimes the media pick at things that they don't need to pick at. But you know what? I'm actually going to go against the grain here, and I'm going to disagree with the first half. I think the first half was bad from us. I felt we weren't comfortable in that diamond shape at all. I felt the midfield was non-existent. I felt Aston Villa were easily getting into dangerous positions. The only thing that was missing from Aston Villa was that cutting edge that a Jack Grealish would have in the final third to either find Ollie Watkins or engineer a shot at goal. But I don't think we had a good grasp of that game at all. And I think in the first half, the only players who were playing for me were Lucas Moura, Harry Kane, and Japhet Tanganga, and then and Joe Rodon. I felt Sanchez looked a bit nervy at times when the ball went on that left channel. I felt Ndombele, he looked good in parts, but he was poor in the first half. I felt Lo Celso was an absolute passenger and was playing like a guy who's just come back from injury as well. And Højbjerg, I felt like he was far too inconsistent in his actions on the ball. Like I honestly don't believe we had any sort of grasp on that game in the first half, which is why we needed to improve in the second half. And if I compare the second half performance to the first, for me, noticeable difference, especially after the second goal. I think for the last 15, 20 minutes, I think that's the first time in a long time where we've been able to control a game properly, like see it out, keep the ball better, not do dumb things in possession, defend well, just completely kill any momentum that the opposition had. Like, okay, fair enough. They had no Jack Grealish, so immediately that's like 60% of their attacking impetus out the drain. I mean, out the window, sorry. But still, I felt it was good the way in which we were managing that game towards the end. But yeah, the first half, I'm not even gonna lie, my head was hot. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, my head was hot because I was thinking, surely not. Surely this team can't bottle this. Even at 1-0 up, I was thinking surely not, because I was so shocked at how bad that performance was.
No, I don't know if it was... Go on.
I just wanted to add that I do understand where you were coming from, but I don't think it was more a sense of we were bad. I do agree that the formation was a bit of a weird one, and I did expect the team to not necessarily look fluid in this first half with this new formation. I would expect that from pretty much any other team. But what infuriated me and really made me mad, look, I don't care what anyone says, to be honest with you. If you go 45 minutes and you have not taken a shot, you've been poor. Because you can shoot from anywhere. You can legitimately shoot from anywhere on the field. It will register as a shot. Yeah, if you've gone 45 minutes and you have taken, if the number beside your name is 0 at 45 minutes, yeah, I don't want to hear no pundit tell me you dominated. Yeah, dominated what? Your kitchen. Stop that nonsense. Yeah, you done nothing for 45 minutes. We may have not looked great, yeah, but you done absolutely nothing for 45 minutes. And if this was the other way around, this is where I get mad with some other fans and other pundits. If this was the other way around, every stat under the sun would have been picked out. Oh, Lo Celso looks like he's been carried by the team. His mother and father haven't spoken to him over the weekend. His wife left him 2 weeks ago. Every single thing you could find would have been found to give a reason as to why Spurs didn't have a shot for 45 minutes. But it was Aston Villa dominated us for 45 minutes. I was like, that's an absolute joke. I'm not having that. But I got a question. You're coming at tops.
I got a question. Did you guys feel confident, after the first goal went in? Like, was it a thing where you felt that, cool, we're gonna go on to a win, or did you think that things might change? Tops, that's a question to you.
Did I feel confident after the first goal? I never really do under Mourinho, to be honest with you. Similarly, I agree with Tobes. I don't think in that first half there was much control. You know, I'll bait the goal that we scored. It was a bit of a wishy-washy first half, and it did sort of improve massively after the second goal. So I wouldn't necessarily say yes, but then if more than anything, I just wanted us to see us have a reaction from the previous week of football, basically. So anything that was better than the previous week of football, I was pretty much latching onto.
Who was the first sub? I can't remember. After, because I feel like we went. Was it?
I think
Gio
came off first.
Yeah, I think it was.
Gio.
I was very surprised by that. I thought he was going to keep him on because he usually makes some stupid subs, and I'm like, Jose, what are you seeing? I was like, Gio was pissing me off. Really. I on the pitch. For me, it was. Yeah, am I still heard it? Yeah. For me, just Gio, his performance summed up that first half. It went completely past him. He put Ndombele under a lot of pressure on that side, and then he was just like, he'll pop up in the left wing channel, like in front of Reguilon, and it's like, what are you doing? And it just kind of goes to show if Jack Grealish was playing, we probably would have had a lot more problems. We would have had a lot more problems because he's a quality player, but he would have been definitely just going one-on-one against Tanganga, who I love. Tanganga, I think he's a great player. I do think his future is at centre back, and you can see it in the game. When Sanchez was flopping all over the place, Tanganga kept going a bit, very narrow. But compared to Ore and number 2, then I would take Tanganga. Do you know what I mean? Number 2. Do you know what I mean? So my rule. I'm not saying his name. My rule.
Dave, can I ask something? Do you? I know this might seem like an obvious question, but do you not give Lo Celso a little bit of leeway because he literally has had 3 months off?
Yeah, that's literally. He looked like a guy who's not played.
He's played. And he played in the last game, and he obviously started.
But I agree with Dave though. I see that as a fitness thing. If you're blowing after 30 minutes, I'm like, yeah, you haven't played for free. If your touch is a bit off, yeah. But if I'm playing you on the right wing and you're in front of my left back and not doing anything, I've got to ask questions about your positional sense. And
I would ask more.
Yeah, that frustrated me personally.
But would you think, like, I think only just to give him a little bit of credit, he was coming back into like a chaotic kind of side, a chaotic lineup. Like, I couldn't even tell you what the plan was half of the time. Like, I get they tried the diamond thing for a bit, and do you get what I mean? Like you said, I think Rhombus is the best word to describe it, man. The Rhombus formation, you get me?
That's
the
Rhombus. That's the pod name, Rhombus.
Yeah, give him a reply. Like I said, at the time when I was watching it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be horrid. And to answer the question, I wasn't confident after the first goal. I never am. It's not about Jose, it's about Spurs. I'm never confident after the first goal. I feel like we need 3 or 4 just to make me feel comfortable, especially away from home against a team like Aston Villa who can get a bit of momentum, even with no fans. And, I actually thought, yes, we'd win. Even after the first goal, I still thought, yeah, we'd win this, but I thought we'd concede. I didn't see a clean sheet. So I thought maybe 2-1 or that kind of thing. But yeah, Gio, I'm not gonna, I'm not cussing him out. Like, I don't want him in my team, but it really frustrated me. And that for me summed up our first half. It just seemed like there was no direction, no instruction, no real clear. And obviously the team was thrown together. None of us could have guessed that team. Yeah. None of us could have guessed that team. Do you know what I mean? And give us all 10 goes, we probably wouldn't have guessed that team. So. We'll see what happens moving forward. Vinicius and Kane up top. Not utterly convinced, but there's a potential there, to eke out some of those tough away game type situations. We'll see.
Yeah. Let's focus on Vinicius just a little bit. Like, what do you think of his performance there? Tobes, what did you think of that? His little cameo.
I don't think he played particularly well, to be honest. I felt like his first touch leaves a lot to be desired, and I felt like he was giving away a lot of fouls, but I don't think he played poorly. I think the one thing I loved about his performance was that he's a workhorse. I don't know what it is with these Brazilians. I don't know whether it's they're eating beans before kickoff, but they have got
energy.
No, it's the truth. They've got so much work. They've got so much work.
Energy.
They get through it. They got so much energy, and I respect it, man. I remember saying after the game, for me, I don't care. I don't care that his play technically isn't up there. He was in the right place in the right time for the goal, and he kept working his socks off for the whole game. And you see how much that first goal meant to him as well. You see the video this week about explaining the story about his mum as well. Like I don't rate him highly, but I respect what he does on the pitch, and I respect the fact that more often than not, when he's played for us this season, he's taken his opportunity and he scored. So for me personally, he's already put his name on the team sheet for after the international break when we play Newcastle.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that, man. Like, I know people talk about him scoring against Barnes and all this rubbish, but actually, given the opportunity, he has, given the chances that's come to him, he has scored. He has, got his numbers. So the one thing that always just stresses me about him is that, like, for a guy of his stature, I just feel like he doesn't hold the ball up well enough. And I kind of felt that it was good that he was playing with Kane, because Kane will be someone to drop off a little bit. And then obviously all of our direct sort of balls into him would be fairly central if they don't go into the channels. But then that's one thing about him that I don't really see he has in his game or in his skill set, is that if you pop the ball to him and he has his back to goal, his ability to be able to protect it, to hold it, and then to bring other people in. And I think sometimes when I look at his style of play, I kind of think, Llorente, although he had no pace, he was somewhat of a physical presence. He had the ability to hold it and also bring other players into it. And sometimes maybe I think, okay, he's not the same type of player as Llorente, but sometimes the way we play kind of forces him to do that. And I feel like it's difficult because he doesn't do it very well. But as Tobe says, he works extremely hard and he gets his numbers in, man. So at the end of the day, we can't really fault him at this point,
One thing I'd go on, yeah.
I was sorry. I wanted to kind of add off that. I do agree with the points being made, but I think a lot of people, even myself included, can be a bit harsh on him, considering the fact that it wasn't too long ago this guy was playing as a centre back. Like he's only recently, from what I've been looking at, been playing as a striker. So he's gone from one extreme to the other in terms of positioning.
Is that Vinicius, yeah?
Yeah, Vinicius, yeah. So
I didn't even know that. Yeah, that's mad.
He was actually he was an actual centre back and was converted into a striker. So everything that he's doing now is pretty much a learning curve for him. And the best example I could have of that, because I found that out a couple of games ago, but in the Aston Villa game, he literally showed what he was like as a defender. They had a cross, or I think it was a free kick that came in, and he was about to bomb out of the box, saw that his guy was literally about to sneak up on him, turned back and shielded the guy completely. And I was like, yo, that is like defending 101 right now. You're a striker, but that is defending 101. And it came back in my mind, oh yeah, this guy used to be a centre back. So yeah, you're right. I think he's gonna be more in terms of developing. I won't be surprised if he does turn out to be a bit like Llorente, but with obviously younger legs, which we badly needed when Llorente first came. So it would be interesting to see how that develops if we do end up, I don't know, purchasing him after the summer. I don't know if we will, but it'll be interesting.
Funny. I was just gonna say it's funny you said this about Tanganga at right back as well, and I think I see this in both Tanganga and Vinicius. But I love the energy they play with. sometimes in a couple of the last few games we've played in, everybody looked a bit lethargic. People looked like even if they knew what they were doing or they didn't know what they were doing, they just looked a lot like they didn't want to be there or in their body language, if you get what I mean. Whereas with Vinicius, even when he's doing the wrong run, whatever it is, he just still looks like he's on it. Do you get what I mean? Like, he just looks like that's not even taking no effect on him. He just wants to keep playing, and that's what I love about Tanganga as well. I hear everyone saying if they prefer him at centre back. I've really got no preference, but what I do like about him at right back is that he gets that opportunity, I guess, to attack the game a bit more. And do you get what I mean? Some of our other right backs at the moment haven't really been taking their opportunities, to put it lightly. Another thing now with Yao's revelations just there, it sounds like Mourinho's found his perfect striker, man. Like, his real defensive forward, centre back he can just put up front. So I mean, like, I hope that's not a sign of things to come, innit?
It was complete.
Wow.
I hope that's not a sign of things to
The
come.
Infinity Gauntlet, it's got it ready.
No wonder.
God.
We see why he was bought in the first place, eh?
But yeah, I loved the energy that was going through the side that started. I thought the Moura, Vinicius, like, there's something about having Vinicius on the pitch that just unlocks an even higher level of Moura, like, in terms of energy. And I like to see it. Do you know what I mean? Last thing I want to talk about before we move on to the next topic, I guess, is Lloris. Like, how did you guys feel about Lloris? Are you confident in him at the moment? I feel like there was a lot of shots flying at him, and I weren't too sure.
I'm confident on Lloris. I do acknowledge that he's on the wane. He's not going to get any better. He's 34 years old. He's not going to get any better. Like, the only way is down for Lloris now. But me personally, I don't just judge him on the mistakes that he made at the start of this year. They're stupid. They're very, very stupid. But if I look at this season in its entirety, he's been good for us. Like, and I think Spurs fans at times were too quick to forget the good that a player does. And the minute he does something bad, oh, he's crap, he's shit, he's this, he's that, and the other. Hang on a second. When we heading into that Liverpool game at Anfield, we were talking about Lloris being one of the best keepers on form in the league in the season. And then a couple big mistakes later, again, yes, mistakes that he shouldn't be making. All of a sudden, he's shit again. So for me, I don't know, man. Like, I still think he's a good keeper. I still feel relatively assured with Lloris, but I would also implore the club to think of a succession plan going forward. I know Yao probably doesn't agree, but I'll implore the club to think of a succession plan going forward, because I don't want it to wait until a point where it's him giving us more bad games than good. I want to remember him as still a reasonably good keeper, and I still think he is a reasonably good keeper right now.
I want to say this now so that, you know, when, you know, people are watching this, they don't think I'm just here to be Black Adam, cause problems. You know? But I do agree with you, Tobes. I actually do. But my problem is, like, every time we get to a point where we're like, yeah, Lloris, that's when he decides to go and hit the drink and give us wrong thing moment. Like,
So he has to relapse.
like, big man,
You know what?
we
It's
need
so
you to
true,
be
so
sober. Yeah, like,
So true.
just give us a sober season. Just one sober season. Every
my
single
days.
season. No matter, he could go 15 games, 20 games, like, yeah, Lloris. And then the next 5, he is waived. And we don't know why. We're in lockdown. No clubs are open. Big man. Off the champagne. That's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Say we got to April 12th, yeah, and then it's
The thing is, Lloris's mistakes, when he makes the mistakes, yeah, you sit there and think to yourself, like, a keeper of your quality, seriously, like, especially with his amount of time he spent in the game, yeah. A lot of these mistakes you expected a younger keeper to have made. I'm like, you shouldn't be making this amount of mistakes with his experience this late on in your career. It could be that maybe he's getting towards the twilight of his career, and, you know, it's all coming downhill. And maybe, you know, I do feel like we should be looking for new keepers, not just one, but at least two. But I believe in Lloris. I'll be lying if I said I didn't. I do believe in him. It's just like, stay focused, big man, for like longer parts of the game.
I hear that.
Let's it's like segueing into the next topic.
Before you do that, Era, shout
Yeah,
out Lucas Moura as well. I don't know if anyone else is speaking it, but shout out Lucas Moura. Like,
Yeah.
I give him a lot of stick, and rightly so, because he's just been so erratic the last 2 years. Like, the last 4 or 5 games, he's the only one that's standing up to be counted, man, and you have to respect it.
For real, definitely.
Agreed, absolutely.
100%. And it's good that you said that, because I was going to focus on some players that definitely have not been standing out, or they've been standing out on the for the wrong reasons recently. And that's going to take us into our next topic. So the 2 players I wanted to talk about were Sissoko and Berwin. Granted, they didn't have the most time on the pitch, but in recent weeks, like, things have not been looking good. And I guess that takes us to, like, our next topic is, what should we expect from these players and from the team as a whole going into towards the last stretch towards the end of the season. Tops, you got thoughts for us on that?
See, my issue with players, I feel like the 2 of them have 2 different plights. I feel like Sissoko, I believe Sissoko has his uses, but I feel as his age increases, as the style of football that we want to play changes, and more players who are capable of playing in his role start to come through, his need in the team and the squad does start to become somewhat negligible. I feel like watching him technically, it's always very, very frustrating. But then you look at him in some of the bigger games where he plays a role of, like, he hassles and he breaks things up, and he makes it very difficult for, like, high level sort of players to perform at the high levels. So I largely do see him with his uses, but with the emergence of people like Ndombele getting back to sort of fitness, Højbjerg being a starter, the likes of Chelsea being in the squad, the potential return of Skip to the team, I do feel like for him, his opportunities are somewhat being restricted, and rightly so. Like, I think there was something that I did see on social media this week where there was a chance that Tanganga blocked, and it was almost like a vast difference between Tanganga's wanting sort of passion and integrity to block the ball, and Sissoko's almost lackadaisical, lazy sort of attitude to just flail like a leg, considering he was a sub, So I've always kind of made my viewpoint on him. I'm very clear that I feel like at 30, 31, he has his uses as a squad player, but I feel like if we can try and push him on, I wouldn't be unhappy. With Bergwijn, I feel like it's a very difficult one, because first of all, he has youth on his side, which I think is a massive thing. I personally believe that his role and the role that he's being asked to play has changed significantly this season. He also hasn't been given as many opportunities, and also, as we've obviously seen the opportunities that he's been given, he hasn't really taken them either. I do kind of feel that there's a massive confidence thing with him at the moment, because he hasn't had any goals, hasn't had any assists. So in many ways, he's been very, very poor. But, like, interestingly, he was called up to the Holland squad this week, and I maybe think that would be some way to kind of help rejuvenate or help with his confidence. I do feel like there's a player there. We've seen sparks of his quality. Great assist against Newcastle for Kane. Great goal against Man City. Great goal against Manchester United. So I feel like we have a player, and as I've said, youth is on his side, but a mixture of lack of form, severe lack of confidence, and also being asked to play different roles probably played into it this season. I do like him, and I feel like he's a good option to have. But interestingly, he has actually fallen down the pecking order behind people like Lamela and Lucas, which to me is absolutely wild. But that's how bad he's been this season, you know?
Like, I can't lie. In the group chat, I was running my mouth saying that, what was it? I think I was saying Berwin could definitely get 4 goals and assists. At least 4 goals 4 combined goals and assists from now to the end of the season.
Yeah,
considering, I think I can't remember who. Someone done it in one game, bro. Like, who was watching. And I was saying Berwin can definitely do it. But do you know what? Like, I would not put any. Like, I wouldn't put a 10 on it. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I've got better things to do with that 10 on. Like, it's not looking promising right now, bro. And it's not looking like he believes in it himself, which is, do you get what I mean? That's the worst part of it, man. I guess what I wanted to ask, it's probably the last thing on the Villa game, but do you think a statement was made? So going into the game, I think there was a lot of talk about the lineup was going to make a statement. Do you guys think Mourinho has succeeded there? I think the only thing I could see as a statement is that Tanganga was the only right back. Other than that, I don't know what kind of statement he made.
No, sorry, Dave, you go first.
Yeah, no, I think you got to look at the subs bench as well. So you had, Alfie Devine and Dane Scarlett on the bench. That's taken up. I think Ali wasn't in the squad, was he? No, Ali was there. He was.
Lamela wasn't. Lamela wasn't on.
Lamela was suspended.
Doherty wasn't in the squad as well.
Doherty wasn't.
Number 2, according to Dave.
Yeah, he wasn't there. Winks
and Aurier and Alderweireld were sick apparently, but they're both playing on international duty. So I don't know.
I think the fact that he was prepared to play Lo Celso after however many months out in the game that we had to win. Like, we couldn't have gone into this break with a loss on that one after the week that we had. I think the fact he was prepared to go with Vinicius and Kane up top. I think the statement more is, I'm prepared to change things, right? And I'm going to take the league seriously. I'm not just going to go, right, we got a month till the cup final. Let's just take our chances there. He's going, right, I'm prepared to put myself at risk, whatever you think of him as a manager, whatever, to go with something a bit unfamiliar and see if it works. On a player-by-player basis, I don't think some of these players care. And that's part of the problem. Sissoko, I don't want to see him play anymore, personally. Right? I was upset with him from the Zagreb game. Right? He was playing the middle 2 with Winks, right? There was one time, it was in the first half, right? And Winks gets on the ball, and obviously we know Zagreb, they like to press in the middle. And Sissoko runs toward Winks. So he's bringing like 2 men with him, right? Winks passes it to Aurier, whoever. This is the first time in my life I've ever seen Winks lose his temper. Like, he was wrong. Like, get away. Harry Winks losing his temper at you. Bruv, it's time to pack it.
Crazy.
And then that clip,
you know what? The Sissoko thing is interesting as well, because I've always been an advocate of having him in the squad, because I think he did well to transform himself into this useful player for us, because he has been useful in the big games. But I'm not gonna lie, turn of the year 2021, I think the last good game I saw from this guy was Brentford when he scored that goal, because his job in the team, you're not in this team because you can spray a ball. You're not in this team because you can drive with the ball, even though he's meant to be good at driving the ball. He doesn't do it at all for us anymore. You're in this team because you're meant to cover up a lot of ground, and you're meant to offer us some sort of defensive qualities that we don't have. You're meant to be the guy who helps us with the counter press. You're meant to be the guy who just helps us get more control, or better yet, defend better in some of these matches. But I'm looking at Chelsea. He was terrible. Came on against Man City, poor against Dinamo Zagreb as well. That the guy's putting in labored, lazy, pants performances. And I'm thinking to myself, bro, you are in this team to help us defend better. If you can't help us do that, there is no purpose for you on this team.
See,
go on.
Even to add to that, like, I think you said it best there, He's in the team to help us. So I think step 1, he's in this team to help us defend. And then I think there's another thing that goes a bit more understated that he was in the team to do, He was in the team and he was available. He wasn't the best passer of the ball, I'm not going to act like he was doing something amazing, but if you needed a pass, he was at least free. I think what he's been doing recently, and Dave just touched on it just now, like he ran towards Winks. Like, let's be honest about what he was doing there. He was making himself unavailable for a pass, and he does this very often.
Honestly,
I mean,
can't watch.
I was just about to say the exact same point. Like, for me, our midfielders, they have become sort of at a level where you need to be able to do the easy stuff, the technically easy stuff well. And we have clearly seen that this is a player who shies away. He doesn't want the ball. And at the end of the day, if you're a midfielder in like a double pivot, whichever kind of role you're playing, and you don't have the confidence or you don't have the ability to take the ball on wherever people want you to take it on, then I feel you almost become negligible in that midfield, because then people basically have to start bypassing you in midfield. You don't become a number. You don't become a member of the team. You're just a number that people are like accommodating for. And that for me is the worrying thing. Like, you would think as well, as a player gets older, he becomes more sort of confident in his ability. He becomes more better at like reading the game a bit better and reading how things are approached when he's playing in the game. But you look at him and this is like, maybe because he doesn't play as much, maybe because he really isn't confident in his ability, but he's doing the things that he used to be able to do almost worse now. And very, very, very similar to what Dave said. You know, I'd happily not see him play midfield for us, but I know that he has a role for us. I'd happily not see him play.
Yeah, I would still keep him. Sorry, I would still keep him, but I wouldn't know. Honestly, as a squad player, I would still keep him for now, but I'm just not impressed with what I'm seeing recently. Like, it's not good enough. Go on now.
I'm sorry, Tops. I've got the little no there, the little shaky, because when we signed Sissoko in 2016, 2017 season, I think it was correct. I didn't want him. Yeah, that 30 million was, as far as I'm concerned, it was flushed out the toilet. And we still haven't received, the toilet paper that we used on this guy back. Yeah, like it's been permanently flushed. His first season, even at the height of Spurs' flamboyant style of play, yeah, anytime this guy was on the field, I literally had a nightmare. Yeah, because this guy if Lloris was drunk at random points of the season, this guy was on drugs, and drugs that are not legally allowed to be used, because he was moving reckless, Now, he had one good season, I must admit. He had one good season where I thought, all right, the tide of 10, I'll hold my hand up. I was like, yo, this guy is possibly the player of the season for us. He broke up plays, he started attacks, he was literally driving a lot of things. And then I realized, all this is just a man that's woken up on the right side of the bed for the first time in his life. That's all it was. Because once the work rate got back to normal, he went back to waking up and being lethargic and useless as he's ever been in his entire life. And that's why when France won the 2018 World Cup, I knew they weren't going to select this guy, because they knew what he did at the last Euros. Yeah, he was a stinker. Don't be fooled by them 1 minute channel runs going past four people. I'm not fooled by none of that. Yeah. And that's my problem.
People will tell you he had a good Euros. He literally turned up in the semi-finals and was bad for the rest of it. I mean, and that's what got him his move to Spurs.
I'm not going to lie. People will say he had a good Euros. People also say, that Boris Johnson's doing a great job. Hey, big man, let's not go down that road. But the man is, if we could sell Sissoko today for just a travel card and peanuts, I'll do that. He has to go.
I think, you can sum up Sissoko's career, just like with a drinking game. Like, next time you watch Sissoko, take a shot, every single time someone passes in the ball and he just one touch passes it back, regardless of where he is on the pitch, what kind of danger they're in, whatever's going on, he's just gonna one touch pass it back, because I just feel like he's not interested in the game, bro. You're gonna be as licked as Lloris, innit, if you try that. But give it a try. Call it Sissoko shots.
That's another episode name, man.
He's good.
You know when I knew Sissoko was an absolute lunatic, and I was like, I cannot take this guy serious as a football player. When I saw him clear a corner facing the other way, he had his back to the ball and jumped up like this. I said, "You've lost it. You've lost it."
It's like he's coping. He's just coping, bro. He's in distress.
What made it worse? He got his head to the ball. Like, am I the one that's being chiefed over here? How did you manage to do this?
Oh my days. All right. Moving away from that side of things, yeah. Like on the flip side, so those are like, I guess, the players who are either need drastic improvements or they're on their way out. But like, which players, if we named like 2 or 3 players that we should be prioritizing for the near future, like who are those players? I think let's ignore the obvious in Harry Kane for now. But let's have another conversation. So who else would be on that list?
We're talking about from the current squad.
Yeah, from the current squad.
Tanganga.
Yeah.
Celso.
Oh,
Tanganga, Lo Celso, Skip, Cess. We need to be prioritizing these, man.
Yeah.
I say about Skip, right? So obviously, I know we all wanted to try checking on the game earlier, and I watched some of it. But even just watching him for Norwich, he gives you the defensive shield, right? That Sissoko don't give. He gives you a passing range that Winks doesn't give, right? Even though Winks kind of had it a few seasons ago, but now he's just dropped off. He's doing them 5 yard, 99% type stats thing. And also, he gives you a little bit of pace, which Højbjerg doesn't have, right? Højbjerg is all IQ. Højbjerg, he looks like his feet right? But he reads the game well, so he can intercept. But what I noticed about Skip can move across the pitch, you know. He's got a bit of dynamism to him. His recovery. For me, when I'm watching the defensive midfielder, and I'm not trying to gas him up like he's going to be the next Makelele, but what I'm seeing from him is that all facets of the defensive game are decent enough. So recovery tackles, reading of the game, winning the ball back under pressure. Even today in the under 21 game, and he was left out, you know, hanging out to dry by whatever the manager's name is, because that selection and formation was rubbish. But even there were certain moments where the ball's coming in and he's holding off, man. He's taking the when he's involved in the game, you know about it. He's not a passenger. Do you know what I mean? And I think you literally, because I would sell Sissoko and I would sell Winks, but that's me, right? If you sell both of them, you get Skip back, you get 1 for the price of 2. You understand? And I'm now thinking to myself, okay, cool, that might free up a little bit more for more investment. Because I personally think, yes, our defense needs work, but the midfield, the drop off in midfield, like with our defenders, the bad ones are all bad. But with our midfielders, you've got like the good ones, and then the drop off is just so steep. So, you know, I'm like, us playing 1 game a week. I'm kind of happy that we don't have to rotate and put man in like Sissoko, Winks, and some of these guys, because, like I said, the drop off is too steep for me. But Skip, I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm liking, and I think for our midfield, I don't think he's ready to start in the Premier League. And I think even with Vinicius, one thing we need to, you know, the pace of the league, I think, is too much for Vinicius at the moment, which is why his touch looks a bit off, which is why he's not always set right when the ball comes into him, when it turns over, bang, bang, bang. It's a bit too quick for him, I think. That's why he's been better in the Europa, in the European game. But I think Skip, for me, is a definite. And Tanganga, I absolutely love that guy. Every time I've seen him, right? So when we were still loud in the stadium, and I've seen him, you know, up in the flesh, as it were, I've been very impressed. Right back, centre back, he's got the whole package. And I think, you know, put him in a nice, solid system against, you know, next to a competent centre back, whether this is a pairing or whether he's playing on the right, and I think we will see him begin to flourish. Do you know what I mean? He has no fear. You know, he plays for the badge. Going forward, he's getting a little bit more confident. I remember the Middlesbrough game, was it last season, I think? Or
I know the one. Yep.
I was there
on the ball than people give him credit for.
Yeah. And I think because for him, he's direct. He's not trying to skill a man and all that stuff. He's just like, if there's an opening, a bit like how Sissoko was. If there's an opening, I'm hitting that hard. Do you know what I mean? And he's a bit of a unit. So I think those 2 players I'm really looking forward to kind of seeing develop. Plus, then we just need to buy better quality because, you know, there are other guys that just need to get out of it.
Dave, you brought up a good point. Yeah, Tanganga is definitely one I would like to see develop. Yeah, I think that's a good. I'm happy that he got brought into the team. He's had a tough season. I have actually been watching his development quite a lot. Like I tend to do this with like Spurs players that I really think are like for the club and for the badge. So I'll, proper like dive into like what the issues are and all that kind of stuff. And he's had quite a number of injuries this season, but nothing career like ending kind of injuries, more just like the little niggles. And it's weird. It's kind of like the kind of Toby Alderweireld kind of situation where the medical staff didn't really want to play him in certain games with the fear that it could develop into a longer term injury. But he's now obviously free of injury. Hopefully that remains the case and he gets a good run of games because from what I've understood or heard, Jose Mourinho really likes the kid a lot. But in terms of like Skip, I said this in the group. I hope it doesn't come back to bite me. And I want to say this, but I do have to add some clarification behind it. Skip slightly reminds me of Carrick. Now, I'm not saying he's Carrick level because I rate Carrick. Let me clarify this now before man get the guns out quick. And I've already felt a few shots through my window. Big man, relax. Yeah? I'm not saying
Matrix right now.
I'm not saying that man is Carrick, yeah, but I'm saying I remember us having a young Carrick and thinking, oh, this guy, he's got the passing range, he's not afraid of like a tackle, he's in the right, and that's what I'm kind of seeing with Skip. The question I will have is, he's done this at the Championship, and I'm not insulting the Championship, but I know the jump from the Championship to the Premier League is no joke. And I think it will be a case of I feel like he will come into his own as the season develops. So you're right, Dave. I don't think he'll be an initial starter. I think it'll more be Højbjerg. But I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up taking that defensive midfield role and kind of forcing Højbjerg into like a box to box, which could work for us in a very weird way, because then it could free up the other two midfielders if him in the single pivot really works. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, like I can definitely agree with you. Like, I take quite interest in watching Oliver Skip. Like, this is like a kid who's effectively playing in a men's league in the Championship. I think people also don't give the Championship the credit it deserves, because whilst it is a drop-off in terms of from the Premier League, it's a slog. It's a lot of players who have played at high levels and are playing consistently and are playing at a level that is required to sort of, keep your game to a decent level. And for a kid to have played basically, is it 38 games of the season that he's played in and hasn't missed anything, and the number of games that he's been voted as man of the match. Like, I really liked all the different qualities that you mentioned of him, Dave. And one thing that I would like to definitely say about him is that for a young kid, he looks so robust. And I say that because it's so easy for a young player to come into the men's game, into first team football, and almost get themselves lost in it, in the sense that they can be overpowered, they can be overrun, they can almost lose themselves. But then you watch him and he looks like, not like a seasoned veteran, but he looks like he's comfortable. He doesn't shirk from tackles. Like, from what I've seen in the Norwich games that I've watched, doesn't shirk from tackles. He's happy to take the ball on. He's even got he's got his first professional goal as well. So there's lots of different reasons for me to feel like, okay, this is a player that's coming back that I'm very happy to have back. And actually, with the kind of players we have in our team, I'd be very happy to develop him. I've always been a fan of Tanganga. Like, when I watch Tanganga, I feel like he doesn't really... I know he plays bit part because he's been injured and he's been in and out of the team, but doesn't seem to have like bad games. He always performs at a decent level whether he's asked to play. And even the game on the weekend against Villa, I didn't expect him to come in, even though number 2 had been doing what he was doing and Aurier was out. But I feel like, again, having not seen him play for quite a while, he left quite a decent account of himself, and that would give you some sort of reason to feel like, okay, you know what, I can trust this kid. I can maybe play him in a different role, or I can keep playing him there. And the third player that I think that we should be thinking about as well is Cess. I've also been following Cess at Hoffenheim. He generally plays in a back four, or they've been using him sometimes as a left wing back. And this season, again, another player who maybe whilst at Fulham was full of confidence, came to Spurs, lots of different injuries, and didn't really play. But now he's playing fairly regularly, again, at a decent level in another international league. And again, he looks like a player full of confidence. And to be honest with you, I feel like it's been good for him because playing in the role he's played, it's kind of a hybrid between the two roles that he may be asked to play for Tottenham. Purely because I feel like maybe he hasn't got it yet to play as a traditional winger, but actually he's got lots of the tools that you would require for a player to play in defence or as a left wing back. And actually, he's been able to somewhat develop that side of his game because maybe at Tottenham he wouldn't have the chance because they apply a lot of pressure for him to play as a replacement fullback or as a replacement winger if he's asked. But actually, because he's playing regularly at the left wing back and left back sort of position, I'd be more than happy to have him back next season, hopefully playing maybe as a reserve behind Reguilon if we keep him, or even give him a go in that sort of left back or left wing sort of role, having had a lot of minutes behind his game. Like, I'm happy as well because all these lads are young, and it's just like I don't want these guys to have their spirits like destroyed when they're young because Tanganga, for instance, has had quite a lot of injury. Cess has had quite a lot of injury. Skip has, arguably played. I think I read the other day he's played more minutes, men's football, first team football, than Phil Foden has. So you have to take into account that like these guys are very young and they're getting the opportunities where they need to, and all we need to is be able to support them so that when they do come back to Tottenham, we can give them the tools to be able to do what they need to do instead of like haltering their development.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, so do you want to add to that quick?
I was gonna say, for me, definitely next season, Skip. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't rate Skip at all. I didn't rate him at all. Like, I remember Mourinho brought him on in a game, that 5-0 game when Son scored that goal, and I was leaving the stadium that day thinking, what's he on about? Saying Skip's going to be the next Spurs captain and stuff. I didn't see it, and I'm not gonna lie, he's really impressed me this season, and it's not just me as well. A couple of my mates who used to make jokes about Skip, saying, the name's fitting because Skip, trash, dustbin, all this stuff. Yeah, like it's ridiculous. Imagine badgering a 19-year-old like this, crazy. But like even they've come up to me and said, like, yo, Skip, like I might need to eat my words because like I'm seeing what this guy's doing in the Championship and he's levels, like he's doing the thing. So for me, next season, whether it's alongside Højbjerg to give Ndombele more license to do what he needs to do, whether it's as a replacement for Højbjerg in some sub matches, he needs to be getting minutes. But for the season in particular, Lo Celso is one that we've missed, in my opinion. I do think he's been underwhelming as a Spurs player. I don't think we can look at this and say he's been good for us as a Spurs. If you look at his time, but he's been injury prone throughout his career at Spurs. And I think now when he's fit, we need to prioritize him into the team. We've got no Europe. We play one game a week or whatnot. We got a cup final. You want your better players playing. And as bad as he's been in some parts, he's a good player and he's certainly one of our better players. So I need to see him prioritize. And it's the same with Tanganga as well. For me, Aurier's got 12 months left in his contract in the summer. We don't know what's going on there. Number 2, as Dave would call him, is a complete myth. So for me, you prioritize the players who are either going to be here in the long haul or the players who are going to contribute to the team. So that means to me, Tanganga needs to start getting more minutes. He needs to, whether it's as the undisputed number 1 or in rotation with Aurier, he needs to play more. It's that simple.
Number 2,
and Rodon as well. I think he needs to get some games as well.
Can number 2 be released?
Not with Levy at the helm, but I tell you that for free, fam. Tops, you're muted, brother. Tops, you're muted.
You're muted, bro.
We properly need to take an L on number 2, man. It's so Like it's scary to me. Like
Yep. It's an
how
L.
poor
It's an L.
he's
The L is
so
massive,
scary
bro.
to me, man.
The L is new. Like this ain't even a special. This is a new kind of L, not the L that you were taught in English. This L is sponsored by Acuris because I did not realize how bad this L was going to be. Wow,
Bro,
what a wow!
it's a wow. It's a big wow. It's a
I
big
can't
wow.
believe.
Careful.
You know what's the scariest part? Yeah, and I never said this to anyone, so I can't believe we've actually got to this point where I've had to say it. I watched the playoffs for when they were playing for Ireland, and I was like, no,
He didn't look good.
that's kind of dry, you know. But I said it to myself, thinking, that's not gonna come to fruition at Spurs. No, he'll be all right, yo. He'll be all right. I actually had this big conversation with myself. 90 minutes, I watched this drab match, and then Ireland lost, and I was like,
I think I watched the same match, you know.
Yeah,
I watched the same match.
I literally said at the end of this game, I said, if any other team watched this match, yeah, we're finished, you know. And I think everyone watched it. Yeah, I swear the DVD went round and all them man said, this guy is doo-doo. Yeah, attack him at all chances. He's dry. The L is new.
Yeah, it's been stress for him. I'm not gonna lie. And like I guess everything we've spoken about, whether it's like mentality, just the players we need to prioritize, aka like squad planning, the fact that we've been doing so many bad signings or signings have not been working, or we haven't been getting rid of people at the right time. I think you can find out a bit more about that in Yao's article on touchlinefracas.co.uk. Yao's article called Special Bird or Choking Cockerel. But there's something you touched on, Yao, that I just wanted to get onto, and that's just, I guess it's almost like we're nicking a living. Even when we're talking about Skip coming into the squad and like how Kane came into the squad before, it seems like a lot of the time we're just getting lucky. Like the things that we plan or the things that we intend to do, they're not working. They're not coming out. Let's be honest. Like you could even talk about like how we say Mourinho was backed this season. Like fair enough, I've got no argument there. But in terms of like looking at it looking at it now in hindsight, it's not working, and that's a scary thing. Like what do we need to change in order to?
I know where you were gonna. Yeah, it's a very valid and important question. I think that this goes before Mourinho. I think we done Poch even a disservice when I hope I don't get his name wrong. I think it was Paul Mitchell, the scout that ended up leaving us to go to RB Leipzig. Now, when he came, I was like, oh, sick. This guy's background is, look at the players he's brought through. He's got like a very unique skill set in terms of identifying a team's weakness and where it needs to improve. And we had him for like, I don't even think we had him for a season. And I was like, oh man, not this again. So when I found out that, and I only found this out due to the Amazon Prime documentary that we had a committee, and I was like, nah, man, I'm not happy with this, because essentially one of the biggest gripes I've had as a Spurs fan my entire life is we all can identify where the weakness is, and we always get to a point where we're linked with a real potential game changer, like whether it be a striker, whether it be a midfielder, whether it be we're always linked to a player. And then we get to a point where it's like, oh no, we've actually bidded for this player. And like the fans get like really excited and think this is going to happen. And then they start to do their due diligence and research the player and say, all right, fine. Yeah, this player, this could be a changer. We were linked to Van Dijk, whether that was true or not. Yeah. But we could all tell Van Dijk was a different kind of defender. Like this was a unit. Yeah, look at what he done for Liverpool. Like, let's be honest. Yeah, what we're seeing with Liverpool now, yeah, is what we were seeing with them before Van Dijk. Van Dijk is the transformation in that team. Whether people want to admit it or not, he is the legitimate transformation in that team, and that's where my gripe came with Spurs, in a sense of like, we have been lucky with some of the talent that we've acquired. You could put that down to great academy, I guess. But Kane's come through the academy. Skip's come through the academy. I'm not going to say Winks because I don't rate the kid. I'm sorry. Like, I tried, but you can toss that in a bit because I'm not having that. But Tanganga, he's come through the academy. We've had other players in the past, that have come through our academy or players that we bought relatively young and have built up. So we have been very lucky in that sense. But there's going to come a time where you're not going to be lucky. And it's going to be down to your purchases and, the players that you acquire from other teams that literally take you to that next level. And that's the one part of Tottenham that I'm really hoping changes extremely soon, because we can't be going season after season after season. We can't be going 20 years, no trophies, and then man think, we're going to celebrate 2008 on DVD all the time. I'm a big man. Stop that.
Mm.
We're always 2 years late. We're always 2-3 years late. Yeah. We all know we need an extra centre back to take the load off Toby and Jan 2 years ago, right? Not saying that they weren't playing well, but they're getting older. Do you know what I mean? They're on now they're doing the contract negotiations. From when a man's haggling on contract negotiations at that age as a central defender, that's his last go. So you then think, okay, who are we going to go and buy in? Do you know what I mean? Who are we going to get? We're always maybe not even 2 years, but like 2 or 3 transfer windows too late. Dembele, we all saw that, yes, as great a player as he was in our midfield, and Wanyama, right, when them guys were flying, we then also had to understand that their fitness was a bit shocking. Do you know what I mean? They had issues, maybe not always starting 10 games in a row. So why is it taking so long to get a replacement for Wanyama, like a Højbjerg? Yeah. Or in Ndombele, someone who can break up play and drive the ball forward with a bit of skill, a bit of flair. It's like, it just confuses me why things don't get done whilst players are still here. We wait until they leave or they regress in their form, and we're relying on Winks and Sissoko in the Champions League final. You understand?
Crazy. Yeah.
Man.
I think even like the best example of that is like we had Gareth Bale, we replaced him with Eric Lamela, and like honestly, we never got any value out of that, like for all of that time. And then we tried to replace Lamela with the ghost of Gareth Bale again. And like I think it just wraps up like everything you guys just said, like into one just easy to see thing. Like we're not taking care of our problems, and it's coming back to bite us. And to be honest, it's crazy because my man Bale nearly got away with it. We nearly went a whole episode, we're an hour in. Bale nearly got away with them comments, bro. What's all this health tourism? I'm hearing guys coming to take guys coming here, dude. Hey, don't make me turn Brexit in there, Listen, this is crazy.
Man, it's not right. It's not right, man. It's not right, man.
It was nasty. It's actually nasty. I'm hearing that.
I don't know. I mean, I listened to it, and I'll be honest with you, like, I'm a bit in the middle here regarding this, because what he said is nothing new. Like, it's like we know what the case is, and even him saying, that he's expected to go back to Madrid. That's what was always going to happen. Like, even if the season was amazing, which it hasn't been for him, but even if the season was amazing, he was always going to go back to Madrid. It was always going to be a case of if Zidane, from what I understand, if Zidane was there, Zidane ain't having him back. It doesn't matter if this guy was hitting 60 goals a season. He's not coming back. Zidane's like done with him, So he was always going back. So that part I understood. But the thing that annoys me about it is like, people are saying like, man's come over and used us for easy gym. He's still not fit. So like, you can't go easy gym for 7 months straight and be unfit. Like,
fam, man, I'm saying he's in there doing up Insta, fam. He's just in the gym, fam.
It's true, man. Like,
so my thing with the whole Bale thing is like, and this is where I feel like Bale's going to absolutely ruin his legacy. Honestly, like, he's a quality player that, for whatever reason, can't articulate himself well enough. Like, I would happily, if he came out and said, look, you know, as things stands, you know, I know I'm going to probably be going back to Madrid, but I want to end this season on a high with Spurs. That would have made sense. Yeah, because then you've covered both bases. We know what's definitely happened, and we can appreciate the fact that, all right, you acknowledge that it's not been a great season, but you're going to try your best for us. Yeah. But this is why the Madrid fans turned on him. What we're seeing now from him is exactly why the Madrid, they're like, yo, you don't even sound like you're interested. And because he don't sound like he's interested, it's going to hit him 10 times worse, because as Spurs fans and as Spurs, we feel like, yo, we made you, bruv. So you want to come here with all this, No, if this is how you're going to continue, I'm not of the mindset to be like, yeah, now give him a run in that front three with our last 2 games. Let him can him. I don't care. Like, I'm of that mindset. I don't want that at my club. It's either you play for the badge with all your heart and leave the blood on the pitch here, or you can go home and play golf.
Bro, the way I see it, if man's here to do up hospital bed, then we should just clap for him on Thursdays, fam. I don't see what else he's doing, fam. Bro.
It's true, man. It's true. And you know what? Like, in many ways, I agree with what you're saying, because, like, on one hand, like, effectively, you know, the first part of what he said, he was basically just giving us the contract agreement to which he signed. The fact that he was on loan, we were paying his wages. He was obviously trying to get fit. I totally understand that. There was never a guaranteed second year, but it was always an option. The one thing that I didn't really like was more the fact when he said something on the lines of the environment that I've been at. Like, the way he said it was something like, I'm happy to come away to Wales with the international squad because the environment at Tottenham is blah, blah, blah. I don't feel like it's the best environment to be in, but when I come to play for Wales, this is a positive environment. And that kind of irked me, because he's part of the problem
of the environment. Yeah, he is
a player who has basically taken 7 or 8 months to get himself fit. A player that has openly tried to make it out as if he's getting himself right. And Mourinho is telling us on the front, this guy is washing you lot. He ain't telling the truth. And finally, we're starting to see some level of form. And yeah, albeit a bit of a bad run, but the first opportunity that he has to come out and say something, he speaks negatively in the sense that, well, I'm only here for a year, and actually, I'll be happy to basically be out of this negative environment. Like, he's not been in the team since the beginning of the year. In the squad, sorry, because of the year. I feel it's very frustrating, because I don't want him to ruin his legacy. But if he's of the mentality that we're a paycheck and basically, you know, a gym environment for him, then at this point, like we mentioned earlier on, I just want players that want to play. Players that actually want to play and actually want to fight for the team. Because at this point, let's be honest, lads, he ain't playing for Euros. Let's not chat shit and say he's playing for Euros, because he's going for Euros. He's the captain. He's playing for his last contract, lads. Simple. He's playing for his last contract. So when it comes down to it, you either want to play football or you don't. If you don't, fine, we'll release the fees. You can do your thing, and then at the end of it, boom. But if you do, and we actually want to see you play at a high level, then you got to prove it. And at the moment, he hasn't done enough to prove it. Like, everyone keeps saying to me, "Is Bale coming back? Is Bale coming back?" And I'm embarrassed, because I'm saying Bale's loading. But Bale's not really loading, because how's it taking him 7 or 8 months, a player of his level, at the top level, to get to this point where he's only starting to perform at, let's say, 50, 60% of his quality? There's a disconnect for me. There's a disconnect. And I'm kind of disappointed with what he said, because, again, another reason for other people to just look at us and think, this is a joke football club. Is this what some of the professionals that are playing for this football club think about? Is this what they think of Tottenham? And other clubs are looking at us like, yo, you took on a superstar, paid massive wages, and he's basically using you guys for high jokes.
Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. You got a man from other sports coming over to dash banter and that, fam. I didn't like that.
Do you know what I mean?
I didn't like that.
You know what infuriates me the most about it? Yeah, and it's like, you can like I'm actually my head is burning because I will punch this you up. Seriously, like he's made me mad. Like the thing that infuriates me the most about Bale, and I like, and it's not just Bale because there is a few other players to add to, you know, that so-called negative environment. And I'm not trying to defend the manager here because I feel like Poch would have been as furious as probably Jose is with some of these players. It's like we just need seriousness. Like we can understand, you know, you want to enjoy your training and you want to joke around with, you know, the lads that you play with, and you want a real, like, I don't know, happy environment. But a happy environment should really come from a winning environment, you know, like a winning mentality, a mentality to go or compete at the very least for trophies, yeah, and not try and take teams like Zagreb or Arsenal away lightly and think you can just turn up and you know something's going to happen randomly. And this is what's infuriated me the most about Bale is he had that 3-game spell where people are like, oh yeah, it's looking sick. This guy has played in a North London derby before. He was there when we were trying to get out of that nastiness of, oh, we turn up at Emirates and just get rolled over. Like he was during that time period. You know, he was during that time period of Arsenal can't come to White Hart Lane no more and do that nonsense at our ground. He was there. So for him to come back and then be doing whole 19 at the Emirates, are you taking the piss? I'm being honest with you. He is lucky, yeah, that we're on lockdown and you know Spurs fans weren't there. The game wouldn't have even ended. Yeah, we would have ruined that game because he spent half of that freaking first half useless. And I hope he listens to this podcast because I'm calling him out. Either pull up your socks and play your socks up for the rest of the season, or big man, go back to Madrid. They'll put you in the stands, waste away your last few years. Don't worry, because no other club is coming after you. That, like, the way he's moving, he's going to be one of those players that's just going to play international for the remainder of his last 2 years. Good luck to you, bro.
Yeah, it's a mad one, man. It's actually a mad one, bro. There's nothing more to say for me, anyway, on Bale. But I guess the last thing I want to leave you with, lads, is where do you think we should be aiming to finish this season? Is top 4 still in the picture? I'm happy with a yes or no. It's up to you guys if you want to add more than that.
Like,
No.
go on, Dave.
Yeah, no, I don't see it. I don't see it.
No.
Do you know what I mean? For me, you know what? Okay, I'm thinking about it like, as a coach, right? So obviously you guys know I coach football in it at the school where I work. And for me, I would see it as this: you got 9 games. What? It's just the next game. I cannot trust this team beyond just the next game. It's literally Newcastle. Right, that's it. Get the 3 points. Then whatever games after that, Man United or whatever. We've got 1 game a week. We don't have to rotate. You don't have to see some of those players. I'd walk in there in the dressing room, whatever, put 3 points. Did we get it? Yes or no? That's what we focus on, and then we see where the cards lie. Other teams may falter or whatever. You know, obviously the other teams in and around, they have European competitions like Chelsea and, you know, Leicester. Not Leicester, I think Leicester are out, aren't they? But Chelsea have things, as you know, they're going to be focusing on. Let's see what happens. But I think it's too much for us to overturn. But I just want to see us give it a good go. Do you know what I mean? Get the right team selection. No stupid things like number 2 playing at right back no more. Do you know what I mean? None of that. Less of that.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. Like, I'm not trying to see any rotation, any rubbish happen now. I'm looking at us saying 9 games, one game a week. Just focus on every single opponent that we come up against every single week and try to get ourselves up that table. At the end of the day, Chelsea have things to worry about. Man United have things to worry about. Liverpool have things to worry about. I'm looking at the teams that are around us that don't have things to worry about. The Evertons, the West Ham, the Villas, because them, man, they're in a similar position to us. They have nothing to lose. Every week they've got a game. So why not can we do the same thing? We're arguably better than these teams as well. So let's just get ourselves into a bit of a run. and go for it. If we can't, we can't. But there's nothing. There's no harm in going for it now. There's nothing to lose, you know.
Definitely agree, man. And on that note, guys, I want to thank you for your contribution today. It's been a great show. Love the energy, man. Let's keep it up. Just want to say to the fans, share the podcast, man. Make sure you share it in your WhatsApp groups, share it online. Check us out at Spurs_Touchline on Twitter. Touchlinefracas.co.uk. Come and check out the new website as well. And bow in your head tops. Don't worry, man. Spurs coming up. Trust me. Bless.